A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. The dear Goon, neck bracelets, that's good to see. Step in the right direction. I love it. How are we doing today, Goon?
Good. I had my 2-week appointment yesterday, so they said just wear the collar when you're driving, when you're riding in a car, no driving yet. So, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. Every day is getting better and better, so it's good to go. Voice is just the one I'm worried about. So,
yep. Yeah, we'll just let the audience know we're going to kind of play it by ear today. Might call it a day after an hour or so. And maybe not. We'll just again kind of see how the show goes, how everybody's holding up, and go from there.
Well,
you know,
I've already gone long on the Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I tell you what, crazy, just crazy. When you say you just never know what's gonna happen in the world of sports, boy, that is the truth. And yeah, if you're just tuning in and have not been following, Paul Skeens gets lit up for 5 runs, is pulled after 2/3 of an inning today at Citi Field in New York. And after the Pirates gave him a 2-0 lead, the Buccos now trailing 5-2 to the Mets. But just crazy, not helped by some misplayed balls in the outfield. O'Neal Cruz is going to be a key part of whether the Pirates are able to really rise up this year or not. And again, certainly not the start that the Pirates were hoping for, either from Cruz or from Paul Skeens, to get this season that has, I don't know that I would say sky-high expectations, but higher than usual expectations for the Pirates, given what the last 2 decades have brought. And again, we're very early, obviously still plenty of time to rally and pull out a victory, but already delving into that bullpen that many, including yours truly, have concerns about how well it's going to hold up over the course of the season. I'm not maybe overly concerned about how it goes here in the first month or two, but whether or not that bullpen can hold up over 162 games and be in good stead, I think is one of the bigger question marks. But one of the things that we did not think was a question at all was how effective Paul Skeens would be, and all of a sudden that is at least in play here after probably about as disastrous of in inning. Certainly that it's the worst start of his Pirates career, and I just again, it's stunning to see him have the difficulty that he did.
It's the most runs he's given up. He tied his career high for most runs ever given up in a game, 5. But that was only 2/3 of an inning, though. Now, 3 of those runs are on Cruz, to be honest with you. I mean,
no
100% on Cruz making that wrong play in there. I guess it's on NBC. I didn't know, but the announcer was saying Cruz has no eye black on or glasses out there. I think he was. I think that's what he said, and I was like, "Well, what's he doing out there then?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's your job out there, and there's enough people who don't like that guy to begin with, and that's how he's going to open his season. So I just got a text from somebody and said, the Pirates went from 162-0 in the top of the inning to 0-162 in the bottom of the inning. I mean, they started off with a 2-run homer. It was great.
Yeah,
I got to say this. I'm not a Pirate hater. I actually very much enjoy watching Skeens pitch. And I hate the Mets. So, yeah, this is bad for both of us, Ironhead.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the hating the Mets part as well. So, yeah, we'll see how this game plays out. But I think more importantly, from the Pirates' perspective, is what does Paul Skeens look like 5 days from now? Because
the good news is that Livy is going to get him back to health. She's going to nurse him back. She's going to take care of him. He'll be just fine, Jeffrey.
There you go. I'm hoping you are absolutely right about that.
Well, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. 78.5 is the over-under for the Buccos.
Yeah, I mean, before I witnessed the last inning now of baseball, I would have taken the over. I have real concerns about that now. I think they're going to be right around a 500 team.
I agree. I really agree.
So I will take the over, but I think that's a pretty fair number. I think to me 80 is kind of and obviously if you get to 80, well, just get to 81 so you can get to 500 would be kind of the thought process there. But I think that's that's the neighborhood that certainly it feels like this roster is designed to get to. But part of that is you're counting on Skeens being the guy that at least keeps you in the game every start he's out there. And just again, brutal start here for the Pirates.
And the announcers were already saying, "Oh, it's just because he had the the big workload in the World Baseball Classic." And I was like, it's just lazy reporting, in my opinion, because he never went over 50 pitches.
No, that's the thing. They were pretty careful with that, and for this reason, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I find it hard to believe that
we haven't talked about it. Obviously, with the surgery I had in the couple weeks I had off, we didn't talk about it. But I thought the World Baseball Classic was an absolute zinger, 100% home run this year. Just absolutely fun to watch every night. Every team, I loved watching each game. It was pretty good. So somebody told me this the other day. And they were like, man, baseball really snuck up on us. And I was like, well, not really. We got done the Super Bowl when the Olympics started for 2 whole weeks. We were ingrained with the hockey and all of this and all of that. Everybody was all involved. And then that ended, and then spring training started a little bit, and then the World Baseball Classic happened. And that was a great 2 weeks of baseball. I absolutely loved it. So, and they were like, well, I can't believe that opening day is here. I'm like, well, it's here.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Not necessarily ready for what just happened here for the Byers, but I'm ready for baseball. I'm excited. My kiddo's been out practicing a little bit with a friend this week, and I'm not even sure. I think they might start next with practices either next week or the week after. So. Looking forward to that. And it's nice to have baseball back. There is something about, in the spring and summer, just having that
always you can fall back on it every night. There's always a game on,
Absolutely. Of baseball just being there. I
got one for you, Ironhead. When I didn't go to wrestling, obviously, but the last time I had gone there, and the guy who hosted us in the suite where we were in, he and I we've stayed in contact for the last 8 years. So he was upset that I couldn't make the wrestling last weekend. So he's like, "Well, you tell me when you want to come into Cleveland, and we'll go to a Guardians Indians game." And I was like, "Well, hell yeah, So maybe I'll look at it. I haven't set a date, but maybe I'll look up to see when the Padres play. We'll bring the turtle out, maybe. They can see his boy play.
Yep. Hey, he's excited. Padres open up at home today, so I'm not sure we're going to get a chance to really zero in on it. We have a big event that we're going to tonight, but it's just nice to have baseball back, even if that was a disaster of a start for ball schemes in the Bucks.
I was debating whether to go outside to do this show today and just sit out back in this is a beautiful day. So
there is something to just when you get weather like this and you get baseball and the excitement of it, I don't know. I mean, the weather alone, I think, would put you in a good mood. But if you're a sports fan, and in particular, I guess, a baseball fan, no matter what else is going on in your life, you have to have a little bit of extra pep in your step this afternoon. No, like it just the sun kind of rejuvenates you, and again, just having baseball back on the radio, on the TV, and available is a nice thing. And I was scanning around on XM coming in and found the Mets broadcasters, and even it was just kind of funny as I'm coming in. Even they're like, "What is going on?" Like, of course they're enjoying it, but they're like, "This is crazy." But then they did acknowledge the role that O'Neal Cruz played in the big inning as well. A few things going. Let's start at Penn State hockey again tomorrow night. We'll open up in Albany with the NCAA tournament against Minnesota Duluth, and that feels like a toss-up game, at least on paper. And we've talked about it. Going a lot of it always comes down to just the goaltending. Does one team or the other have the hot goaltender? But certainly you like Penn State's chances of getting a hot goaltender and of having enough firepower to create problems even if you are facing a hot goaltender. The nice thing, I think, in some ways is that there really is no pressure on Penn State. And if you had told me at the start of the season that there would be no pressure in the opening round, I would have been like, get out of here. This team's going to be filled with pressure. But because of the injuries, just because of the way the season's played out, they go in, obviously, as the lower seed here. So it's not like, even if they lose from a national perception standpoint, it's not like, oh, man, I can't believe Penn State let that opportunity get away. And as you've talked about, Goon, I have faith that Guy Gadowski's going to have this team ready to go, well prepared, and I think they at least get by this first round game. But I do think it's a toss up matchup, and then to me you're almost playing with house money, and let's just roll and see what the Nittany Lions can do here.
No doubt about it. You just said the word I wanted to say, and that's house money. They win this first game Friday night, which is not a given. Duluth has been around a long time. They've been playing the game a long. I mean, that's like they're one of the blue bloods, I think. But then, you got Michigan out there, who's number one team in the country by far, like really good. Them and Sparty are two of the most legit teams out there. Yeah. But you know what? Penn State's had 2 weeks off, and then these guys had to play Ohio State. And the week after, they beat us to get to the Big Ten title. So, you just don't know. I mean, that extra week of rest versus another extra game versus Ohio State, that might come into play when they're playing on Sunday if they get through Duluth. But absolutely, they're just going to go out there, and Guy, he's going to go out there, roll it out there. He's going to have fun doing it. I love watching him coach. I never see him like overly like distraught or overly, it's just even keel, man. And he just makes it happen. And he lets his guys play and they have fun out there. And again, you said it, they can get through Duluth and they can get to Michigan. And, you playing that'll be the fourth time or fifth time that they've played in the last month or so. So, you just don't know. In a one-game series, I'll take the chances, and I'm sure Guy would every day.
Yes. Yep. The other thing, Goon, because I am fascinated when we get into the whether it's a basketball tournament, a hockey tournament, but these events where you have a game that you have to win, but then the potential for a second game on the weekend. I am always interested on kind of how you approach that, because obviously everybody will tell you, no, we just focus in on that first game because the second game doesn't matter. In this case, I think it's probably even a little easier to do that because of the familiarity these guys have with Michigan. I mean, it's not I have to believe that they do, like the coaches, if not the players, they're doing a lot of the prep ahead of time, and that they have that pretty well in order. All right, this is the approach we're going to take. And probably the mentality is when we get our crack again at Michigan. But I think the fact that they have as much familiarity as they do makes it a little easier to approach this weekend, where, at least for the kids, you can really focus on Duluth. And then if you do get by it, it's like, okay, yeah, we know personnel-wise, let's just talk about the scheme we're going to go with this time around, and maybe some, subtle little change-ups that we want to throw into the mix here.
Absolutely. I mean, hell, I was thinking about you all weekend last weekend when we were watching wrestling, when you had a lot of like matchup from like the guys who they've wrestled each other so many times and stuff like that. And that's the conversation you and I. He hit one?
Yep.
Oh, I'm so far behind. It's crazy.
Are you?
He didn't hit one. You talking about the strikeout right there?
Nope. Stay tuned.
How far behind am I?
Brandon Lowe's making his impact felt here in Pittsburgh.
Holy crap.
Back within a 2-run game. Anyways.
Yeah. So we were talking, like, our historical debate has always been, is it easier for wrestling to come back from a loss versus the guy who wins? I mean, like I have always said, it's a lot easier for the guy who lost the match, because he's going to change, he or her are going to change their approach. Where the guy who wins is not going to change his approach, because he's like, I already won. You know what I mean? But then you got to stay one step ahead of the posse. And you saw that a lot in wrestling and stuff like that last week. I wanted to talk to you about that Tuesday, but we didn't get to it. There was a lot of rematches and stuff like that. Guys knowing how they wrestle and stuff like that. So, yeah, we know exactly what Michigan's going to be doing on Sunday if we meet them, I think the scouting report would be pretty easy to get to and just be like, hey, you know what we're up against, It'll be a mental thing on Sunday to get through Michigan.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I'm excited to see what the weekend brings. I tend to be the optimist, so I like Penn State's chances going in of winning both games and moving on. But regardless of what happens, again, it's been a really fun season. I think it'll be a fun weekend to see what these guys can go out and accomplish and how far they can go here this season. I do want, switching back to wrestling real quick, because I did have a couple of our friends actually came over after the show, and I've had some others reach out. And this is one of those things where I think sometimes it's hard to appreciate kind of the caliber of wrestlers and coaches that are out there throughout the country. And it's why what Penn State is doing, to me, is all the more impressive, is that I think you have more wrestlers coming into college. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I forget if it was Tuesday or last week with Booch, but you have more wrestlers coming out of high school ready to go. Really ready to go in the collegiate ranks. You have just phenomenal coaches. Again, you have truly top-rate coaches at some of these smaller conferences, smaller schools. And again, they're not contending for national titles, not because of their lack of expertise, just because of the talent differential with their roster compared to, a Penn State or an Oklahoma State or those types of teams. But one of the things that because I've had a few folks, oh man, boy, Shane Van Ness really shut down his offense there in the finals. Do you think he regrets that? Yeah, it's not, it was the same thing when David Taylor wrestled Kyle Degg. A number of people that, man, David just didn't shoot. Well, here's the thing. It has a lot to do with the opponent, right? And it's just like if you have an aggressive, good hitting baseball team, great hitting baseball team, and you run into a great pitcher, and all of a sudden you're sitting there frozen on a third strike. It's like, oh man, that guy was aggressive all season, and in the biggest moment, though, he wasn't aggressive. Boy, that stinks. I wish he would have just stayed true to himself. Well, the thing is, if you're seeing something you haven't seen before, or a strategy is being employed, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to slow you down. Again, then the next step is, and what the greatest of the great, the Mitchell Messenbrinks and the David Taylors and the Bo Nichols are able to do is, all right, it doesn't matter if you're going to do everything you can to slow me down. I'm still going to figure out a way to get to my offense. But that's a lot easier said than done. And it's a combination of talent level, experience, and then just kind of going through that process. And I'm just telling you, a lot of the lack of scoring had an awful lot to do with the approach of the opponents. And I'm not boo-hooing the approach of the opponents, because the goal, the objective, while, yes, it would be great if the fans are entertained, the actual objective there is to win. And what those guys are trying to do on both sides, I mean, Penn State, too, is trying to figure out a way to win the match. Now, I think by and large, Penn State's trying to win the match by putting up as many points as they can, but sometimes you can't get to, the opponent the way you're used to. And there's also different forms of stalling, right? And I think we saw some really subtle forms and I'll say strategic or smart forms of stalling, where it wasn't, hey, I'm just going to back up and keep you away, right? It's I'm going to keep my hips away. I'm going to circle. But always, I'm going to keep myself at a healthy enough distance and maybe take lower my level, at least reach out for your leg to keep the stall calls against me at bay. And again, I'm not even complaining about that. Again, your objective is to try to win. And if you're wrestling a Shane Van Ness, your best opportunity to win is to try to keep that to a one takedown match, right? And then, hey, can I be the guy that gets that takedown? So, strategy plays a lot into it, not just your own strategy, but the opposing team's strategy as well. And so I don't think it was a case where Penn State shut anything down necessarily in the finals with some of their kids, a Luke Lilladall or a Shane Van Ness. I think it had a lot to do with the way their opponents were wrestling. And again, you've just at that level, it's about finding a way to win. And, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. More often than not, Penn State does. But again, it's not, there's not a formula where it's just a given. And I've had some people, Messenbrink kept on his offense. Okay. Mitchell Messenbrink is a generational talent. And yes, what he is doing, it is fun to watch. It is great for the sport. And it is also really, really hard. There are not many individuals, even guys who are aggressive and like to attack, that can put up points the way he can, even against guys who are in there to try to slow him down. Like, some part of it is there's just a very unique skill set that very, very few individuals have, and Mitchell Messenbrink happens to be one of them. And it's, skill set combined with obviously a tremendous work ethic, great attitude, all of the things that you want to make Mitchell Messenbrink who he is. But part of it is he has a special talent that not a lot of people have for the sport.
I agree. And that's the one thing about Messenbrink. I have never seen the dude tired. I mean, you watched every match he's wrestled in his career. Have you ever seen him tired? It's amazing.
Yeah, so that is one of the little tricks, too, is I guarantee you Mitchell Messenbrink is tired. I've never seen him look tired. I understand what you're saying. but you don't go 7 minutes at that pace and not have fatigue. Now, I'm with you. He doesn't show it.
It's
and
amazing.
Again, part of that is kind of that mental toughness. And look, he is in phenomenal shape. I mean, he's not maybe huffing and puffing the way most guys would be, even those that are in shape after 7 minutes. But again, it is not possible to wrestle 7 minutes at the pace that he does and not have your body have some fatigue to it.
Yeah.
Part of, it's just like, when you listen to top level marathoners or even cross country runners, it's not like they are feeling the pain. Like you're watching them and it's like, man, that's just such a beautiful gait that they have, and there's no grimace on the face. And you watch other people, you watch me run a half mile and it's like, and I'm struggling to catch my breath, and these guys 25 miles in, they're looking fresh as a daisy. But you talk to them afterward, they're like, well, yeah, no, I know how to push through it. I know how to get my body to respond. But yeah, it's not that I'm not feeling any fatigue or that I'm not recognizing, my God, I'm on the 26th mile of a 26-mile journey. That takes a little something out of you. But it's training your body to be able to fight through it and to become accustomed to it. But it doesn't mean that there's not fatigue. Again, you're not running 26 miles at a 5 minute a mile pace or whatever those guys do, and have your body not experience some level of fatigue. And it's the same thing with wrestling. 7 minutes, or certainly if you're going to sudden victory or tiebreaker situations, you can condition your body, you can work your way through it, and not show the any pain or fatigue, but it's there. I mean, it's not possible for it not to be there. Maybe not to as great a degree as it is for some others, but it's there.
Gotcha. And I know we're going to hit a break here soon, so I'm going to drop you with one question here. You can answer before or after.
Yeah.
It's about wrestling, so I forgot to ask you the other day during my interview, which I've gotten multiple millions of compliments on that. They're saying, "Dude, my God, you should be an interviewer of wrestler announcers." So, do you think that this freshman class that came in through here and just lit up that wrestling world this past weekend is a phenomenon or the future?
So I think that class is exceptional, and I don't think that's going to be the norm where you have, 4 champs and, probably I'd have to look now. There had to be at least 12 to 15 that were in the top 4 of the respective weight classes.
And they're true freshmen, not redshirt freshmen. These are true freshmen.
There were some redshirt freshmen in there, but Marcus Blaze and PJ Duke, and then the 3 champs for Oklahoma State were all true freshmen, and So I think that is an exceptional class. I do think, though, and really we've seen it for the last 10 years or so, like freshmen are coming in and having a bigger impact earlier. Now, not necessarily, again, the impact we saw this weekend where you're winning national titles or you're number 1 seeds. That is still a little abnormal, and I think will remain not the norm. But there are guys coming in with this freshman class that next year that I think will make an immediate impact. I don't think you're going to have the numbers in the finals, and we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't think you're going to have the number of true freshmen in the finals or winning titles next year, in part because these freshmen are still coming back, and you have some other guys that are now another year older that have now seen these freshmen and, be making adjustments to their game. And I don't know. I think it's going to be, I do think next season, and I'm already looking forward to it. I think next season has about as many storylines for the sport as I can remember in a while that you really want to follow. Like, can Iowa? I mean, their performance at NCAA's, whether you like the brands, whether you like Iowa, and I get it that like they're about winning championships and they're not sitting there celebrating a fourth place finish. I'm telling you, with the season they had, getting 7 All-Americans and getting that fourth place team finish is a big deal. That is significant. And to finish ahead of Ohio State in particular, like that is more than noteworthy, and I think does give Iowa a momentum bump going into the offseason. But, what does that look like now next year? We'll see. Nebraska, I want to see, does Nebraska, are they able to reload, or is it going to be more of a rebuilding project there for the Cornhuskers? I think Ohio State and how it responds from what was just a sensational season, followed by, I mean, just no question, a disappointing NCAA tournament. And I get it. I mean, injuries were part of it. There's no question. But how do you respond as a program? What does Ohio State look like next year? I'm getting inundated with what's the lineup going to look like next year for Penn State. I mean, I can give you my guess, but it's just that. I don't know. I think they need to sit down, they being the coaches, need to sit down with the kids and their families in some of those spots and just figure out, all right, what kids do we want to redshirt, what kids want to redshirt, and it makes it a little tricky because that following year is an Olympic year. But what's changed about that too in this sport is it was, I think, believed for a long time. Well, I know it was believed for a long time that if you are gunning for the Olympics, you want to take that year of college off and get ready for the Olympics. Well, with the success we've seen in the last 2 cycles of college kids wrestling the season and then rolling into and through the Olympic trials and into the Olympic Games, I'm not so sure that there's nearly as much emphasis, or will be nearly as much emphasis. And I think, coaches can quite properly point out, listen, if you want to make a run at the Olympics, going through this college season might be the best way to get you ready for it. There's obviously differences in particular with the mat wrestling from freestyle to folk style, but more and more, I think the folk style success is translating to freestyle success for these American wrestlers. And I think it's more about just being out there competing, sharpening your skills, figuring out ways to get takedowns. I think that is more beneficial than, quote unquote, training in a room and resting up your body, because you still have, you do get the opportunity to rest up your body, but I think you get that mindset of competition that can, I think, hone your wrestling skills for that Olympic opportunity. So a little bit off topic there, but I think normally there are some guys that I think would definitely defer that red shirt a year because, hey, it's an Olympic year, and maybe some still will. But I think now there may be some guys that are like, yeah, you know what, let me look at redshirting this upcoming season if they have it to use and get, my academics in order, get whatever else in order, and then be able to roll through and be ready to go for a gangbuster 2028 and try to win a national title, the Olympic trials, and, an Olympic medal along the way as well. So, I think that'll be an interesting storyline too, is not just at Penn State, but kind of across the board, who redshirts and who doesn't here in the upcoming season, and then what does that mean for the following season in that regard as well. Seth checking in. Seth, I'm going to get to your question. We're going to take a break here. I will get to your questions because I think they're good ones. I have some thoughts on just some things that I think would help wrestling. And again, different people have different ideas. If anybody else wants to weigh in here, we'd love to hear from you as well. But Seth, I'll address your questions when we return. We are going to take a timeout here, and we are back with much more of the Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday afternoon.
You look a bit nervous, eh?
Thierry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College.
All right, back here on our Thursday afternoon foray. Again, Pirates and Mets now into the bottom of the fourth. The Mets with the 5-4 3 lead. New York chasing Paul Skeens after just 2/3 of an inning and putting up a 5 spot in that opening inning after the Buccos had scored 2 in the top half of the first inning. Talking some wrestling today, Seth weighing in, the knee wrestling is stalling. I agree with you. I just don't think, for one thing, it's not fun to watch, and so I don't know exactly how you write it into the rules, because I don't want, like, if your knee touches the mat or you're responding to something, I'm not exactly sure how you write it in, but yeah, I'd like to see less of the knee wrestling from the neutral position. And we don't see a lot of it, in fairness, but the guys that do it practice it on a regular basis. And again, it's a handful, at least that I'm aware of nationally, and it's just not, it's not fun.
Why do they do it? What's the advantage versus disadvantage?
Yeah, it gives you leverage. It makes it obviously harder to get in on that leg. I think there's some things you can do to score off of it, but if you have strength and quickness, which obviously most of these guys do at the top level, at least in theory, it makes it harder to score on you. Because you're, again, at least in theory, taking one of the legs out of the equation. How would you fix the ride out overtime? Love the 2-minute sudden victory, but the ride outs are not a great way to get away, in my opinion. Yeah, this has been an ongoing in both, and I don't like the freestyle right now. It's just if you scored the last points, or if you have the bigger scoring move, you win. Well, I'm not a huge fan of that either, because again, if it's a 4-4 bout, it would be like deciding a baseball game. All right, it's 4-4, but my team had the last 2-run homer, so we win. Well, why is the last 2-run homer more significant
important
than the first inning 2-run homer? I don't like that. I understand. And again, if everybody knows the rules, you work the strategy around it. All of that. I understand it as far as it goes. I actually don't mind the ride out situation as much as some others do. And I've talked to enough fans that the one thing I don't like is the giving each wrestler the option to start that second 30-second period. I would rather that you do the top and the bottom. And I understand, I've talked it through, and I get there are situations where that really then becomes not fun to watch as a fan. I would rather personally just go to a 3-minute sudden victory, and again, first point or points wins it. And if you're still tied at the end of that 3 minutes, then put 1 minute on the clock, and you let both wrestlers know that it is we're going to have an official determination on, if neither of you score, who gets the most legitimate shots. And yep, there's always going to be, we'd have to define legitimate shots, but I would rather work out something along those lines to have it decided than, at one time it went to referee's decision, and that was always tough because
so bad.
Again, yeah, and I mean, there were times where it's like, all right, well, clearly this guy was the aggressor, and the official would see it. But there were other times where it's like, man, I don't know. It's a 50-50.
Well, it's on what it's speculative of what he sees. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't agree with it. I don't, and that's a horrible way to do it too. Sorry.
Well, yeah, and I
It
don't know.
reminds me of a shootout in the World Cup, either hockey or soccer. Like you just ran up and down the field, you played your butts off on the ice, on the pitch, and whatever, and then they're like, okay, we're going to go to goal. We're going to go to free kicks.
At some point, yeah, but at some point you do have to have a way to end it, and you have to have. Go ahead.
I take that back. Like in the regular season for hockey, and I agree with that. You don't want guys playing 5 or 6 periods on a Tuesday night. I completely agree. But when you're settling tournaments and finals and championships that way, it's got to change. That should be I figure, the whole thing out.
Yeah. Tiebreakers are always. I'm trying to think if there's a sport where there isn't some controversy around the tiebreaker procedures, no matter what the procedures are. Even if a majority of fans are like, yeah, it's a good way to decide it, it's still rarely do you have everybody saying, if ever, that again, I mean, we can't agree on anything in society, but again, at the end of the day, you do have to have a way to break the ties. And you would like to do it without completely exhausting the athletes and completely boring the fans, right? Like, and so it's a little bit of a tricky situation in that regard. I don't know. I really don't mind the tiebreakers. I actually don't mind even like just have them go 30-30, and if they both are able to ride out the full 30, then again you go to the second sudden victory period as it is. I'm okay with that, to be honest with you.
But I'm okay because it's okay to me too, because they at least have the initial 2 minutes.
Yes, and
you know what I mean.
You have, and if you're like, well, this
it.
guy has an advantage or disadvantage on top or bottom. Well, again, that is part of wrestling too, and it is why I would rather that they both do the 30 seconds, and you each take a turn on bottom and on top, and so that you're getting those elements in there as well. But again, I'm open. I mean, if anybody has well, this is the way it should be done, and I'm certainly open to hearing other ideas. I don't mind the system they have. I would like it to go back to just the 30 on. One guy gets 30 on the bottom, and then the other guy gets 30 on the bottom, and you see if either can ride longer than the other one, because to me, again, that's part of the skill set of wrestling as well. Two of the things that I really would like to see, and I think we talked about this on Tuesday, but I after seeing the way things are playing out now, I would much rather go to no reaction time. It's a takedown. If you get control and they can see that, boom, it's a takedown. And, yep, you're going to have there's no question you're going to have some situations where it's like, oh, my gosh, he only had control for a split second. I'm telling you, then at least everybody knows what the rule is. It's clear. We understand it. And you're taking the official, two different officials looking at the same thing, at least in theory. You're taking out of the equation, well, I don't think that was enough reaction time. Well, I think that was too much reaction time. And that's the way it's written right now, you got to give reaction time, but reaction time isn't specified. And I'm not really sure how you would, you can't start, 0.5 seconds or exactly 1 second. I mean, how are you going to go back and then you got to determine, all right, well, this is control. Is that exactly 1 second, or was that 0.8? Or is that 1.1? I mean, so to me, the easiest thing is just to go back to, and I know there were complaints about that as well, but after seeing all of the different ways this can play out, I'd much rather just go back to, yep, you get control for a split moment. That's a takedown. Boom. And be done with it. I would like to see stalling called more often still. And I would like, I think the push-out rule would be good to adopt in folk style. We're just having too many guys trying to play the edge of the mat. Now, I think some of the better teams, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, you're seeing those teams start to score a lot more at the edge of the mat because teams that are wrestling them are trying to play that edge of the mat, and they're learning, all right, well, I have my back to the edge of the mat. Now I can pull you in and work back in on you. And you're seeing the more elite teams, the top level teams, start to figure out how to make that part of their repertoire and work in their advantage. But it's still not great for the sport, right? And again, there are a handful of teams that are able to kind of figure out how to capitalize on that. But we have whatever it is, I think 79 teams now at the Division I level. There's maybe 4 or 5 that are pretty good at figuring out how to score at the edge of the mat. Well, that's a lot of matches then where you're left just unsatisfied, I think, as a fan with the action that's occurring or not occurring in this particular case.
It's a good point. I mean, again, the novice wrestling fan here, I mean, even I know the rules enough that, like, it's like people were like, why? Like, people just seem like they're running out of, like, my carry was like, it just seems like people are running out of, they're running away from stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they are, but they aren't. How does that sound,
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I mean, we're never going to have the perfect sport, perfect system, this and that. I applaud wrestling. It's a lot like hockey, where they are very open to changing of rules and stuff like that, and then substantial rules. Where you get to the NFL and you get to Major League Baseball, and you really it's like you got to rip people's teeth out just to try and get something get something done rule-wise. I mean, again, I'm looking at the takedown. Was it a catch or was it not a catch? I mean, everybody has a different perception of it. There's stuff through history where you're watching, you're like, what the hell? How's that not a catch? Or why did they call that a catch versus nowadays? And I'm sure wrestling does it, but wrestling has a really good history of changing that type of stuff. They realized they can self-examine, like, okay, well, you know what, this didn't turn out right. We need to change the rules here a little bit. And good for them to do that. Good for them.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, all sports have their challenges in officiating. I mean, trying to get into the right position and all that. I think wrestling is particularly difficult just because of the physical nature of it. Again, you've got to trying to be in the right position to see if there's a pin, to see if somebody has control, to see if all of the limbs are off the mat, to see if one is still in, and is he tilted past the 45-degree plane. I mean, it's a lot of I'm trying to make that judgment. It's a lot of, all right, I'm trying to get the spot right here in football. Well, all right, is that exact spot where you put the football? How confident are you that that's exactly where the guy went down? I'm pretty darn close. Well, again, I think that's the case with wrestling. It's like, do I know definitively that was a takedown? Man, it sure looked like it. It looked like that was near fall points. Looked like that guy was out for the escape. Close. A lot of times, I mean, really close either way.
Yeah, and my favorite part about wrestling is when guys rope people in and they try to pull them back into the ring, and the other guy's like clawing to get out. And you're dominating a man when you're doing that, and you're literally pulling them back in the ring to beat them up a little bit more. So, great sport, great weekend for you guys. I mean, for Penn State again. And, you said it earlier, the storylines are already writing themselves for next year. You have this, like, these Oklahoma State classes are coming in, And let's not sleep on Virginia Tech, man. I mean, they're throwing some money around out there. Now, that's the next question I have is, will this sport, why, and I want to go back to why this freshman class was so good. And I go back to their training and their nutrition and their strength and their conditioning is learned at such a younger age than you and I had growing up.
Yeah.
You are seeing more freshmen that are, I mean, I'm sorry, Jax Forrest is obviously going to be a generational guy, but he's he has to be strong and in shape to go out and do what he did as a 17-year-old kid. It's amazing what he did, and that's how far advanced we are with the athletes and stuff. So going forward, is it going to be I guess that's you answered the question before about the freshman classes, but how much do you think that these kids are fresh versus some of these kids who are wrestling 3 and 4 years were already beat up pretty good?
Yeah, I do think that is part of it, and I think I've shared the story on the air before, but David Taylor talked to me at one point during his senior year, and then we did talk one other time after his career was over, and he talked about just how nice it was in freestyle to be able to let your body recover and then compete and then let your body recover. But he talked about his sophomore year, he said, was by far the easiest season. He said he felt great that whole year, physically just ready to go. Obviously was in a good frame of mind, determined after losing in the finals the year before and all of that. He obviously had a great senior year, but he said it was a lot more work that senior year to have that success. He was in the training room a lot more often, getting stuff worked on. He had, constant aches and pains that he just learned how to deal with. So, I do think there is something to that. And I think especially in sports like football and wrestling and maybe to a slightly lesser degree a sport like lacrosse, and I don't follow lacrosse closely enough to know what the 6th and 7th year kids did, but in wrestling, a lot of the guys, the majority of wrestlers who took advantage of the COVID years and wrestled those 6th or 7th years of college, very few of them had exceeded their accomplishments in that 6th or 7th year compared to prior seasons. And I really think a lot of it has to do, I mean, you've talked about the mental component, like when you were ready to be done your senior year, like if it was offered to you, I'm not sure you would have come back to Penn State for another year, just because, hey, I've now lived that part of this and ready to move on. So I think there is the mental component too, where again, it's just part of the life cycle, and it's supposed to be a 4 or 5 year cycle, and then you're into the next phase. But I also do think physically it just wrestling and football and sports where your body is taking a pounding, I think it is just hard to and especially when you're still taking classes and you're doing all of the other things that the college kids are involved in and concerned about. And again, the NFL, obviously you're getting your body's getting even more beat up, but you have more people now that are working with you on your physical health. You have the means to buy additional individual support if you need it, to go get an individual masseuse or whatever above and beyond what the team's providing for you. But also it's like that is solely all you're concerned about, right? So like that whole week leading up to a game, your entire focus, I mean, aside from your family, obviously there's other obligations, but I mean, you're not worried about classes. You're not worried about, you're only worried about your body and getting it ready for the next game. And that's just different than when you're in college competing. Again, especially in sports that are both physically and mentally demanding.
Yeah, you're totally right. And then, you got these 17 and 18-year-old kids who are fresh and not beaten up. That's amazing what David said as a sophomore. He says, that was the best he had ever felt. And that's crazy to think about, but 100% true. There's no doubt about it. You wrestle at that level for that long, it's going to be, it adds up. There's no doubt about it. I remember Jeff Hardy's my old roommate, with the Steelers, and he was just like, he was just sick and tired of having. Well, Jeff he always had weight issues, maintaining weight. He's one of the lucky ones. He could do whatever, but he had to eat a lot and do a lot. But he says he spent more time and more everything for his last year that he played when they won that Super Bowl, just getting his body right. And he goes, it had always been a physical thing and stuff and a mental thing, but it was just like he was done. He was racked. He was out of it, and he knew it was going to be his last game. And Bettis is too and stuff like that. He said, me and Jerome were the same way, I think, and that they were both beat up, and it was done. It was time to go. And but that's amazing that David would say that, and I could see it. I know exactly what he's talking about. So impressive. And that would explain why these young kids can come in here, and it does explain a whole bunch. So,
yeah, again, it's part of the equation. I also just these guys are getting exposed to high level competition at earlier and earlier ages. They're getting exposed to top end coaching, and we've talked about it. Goon, football, wrestling, baseball, all of these sports now. Not only there's more opportunities now to go to camps or to facilities all across the country and be able to compare yourself and see the areas that you need to work on. But also, even if you don't have the means to do that, you can now download videos and study the swing. You can get breakdowns of the best swings in Major League Baseball, the best takedowns in wrestling, and you have guys like Jordan Burroughs and Jason Nolf with all kinds of videos out there showing you, hey, this is the way I do this. This is the technique I use. And if you're studying that stuff, even if you're not getting to all of these top training facilities and coaches and all of the things I'm talking about, if you have a skill set, right, you can self-teach a lot of this stuff. Again, at some point, if you're going to be competing for national titles or trying to compete on the world stage, world championships or Olympics, you need some additional hands-on training, no question. But again, the amount of stuff that is now readily available for for a father or a mother to teach a 6 or a 7-year-old, hey, this is the technique that a David Taylor uses, or a Jason Nolf or Jordan Burroughs. Well, that wasn't available when we were kids. It was, Dan Marino wasn't out there showing everybody, hey, this is how you throw a football, and this is how you grip it, and this is where you release, and this is how I improve my arm strength. Now all that stuff is readily available, and with AI, Goon, I'm telling you, this stuff is going to change even more rapidly in the coming years in terms of being able to break down every element of somebody's game. And the human element is still going to be there. Again, some of it is you just either have the talent or the heart or you don't. But a lot of this technique stuff, already you can just put it into, the computer or the analytics, and it'll come back, well, you got to change your drop point 10 degrees, and this is what that looks like, and this is what that feels like. It's amazing the degree to which now you can break this stuff down and get it analyzed and figure out the best ways to try to improve, again, in any of these sports.
It's amazing. Technology's here to stay, and You're right. There is so many videos and this and that. I mean, I remember going to high school football camps was a big thing, and now it's like you can watch all this stuff at home, and then let's not even talk about the specialization of sports and the MC training facilities and stuff like that. How many guys that's producing, and what Bo's out there doing. These guys are doing well, and they're making money on it. Thank God, they're doing well with it, and it's only going to make the sport better for you.
Yeah. Again, all of that stuff is going to continue to evolve and change, and the successful programs, successful individuals will keep up with it, and those that aren't able to keep up with it are going to start to fade. That's just the nature of the beast. All right, that is going to wrap things up today, Goon. Good job. Glad the voice held up. Keep the recuperating going here over the weekend, and we'll touch base obviously again next week. Good luck to your Phillies. My Pirates are down
over 89.5 is the Phillies. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I would too. I really would. I think they're primed to make another real run this year, but we shall see. It is nice to have baseball back. Best of luck to the Penn State hockey team this weekend. Best of luck to everybody out there in your basketball polls, and see how those brackets hold up through the upcoming weekend. And we will be back with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.
You look a bit nervous, hey?
Thierry, what's it like to stand in the FIFA World Cup stadium?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Just tell me. Come on.
It's not something that you can put into words.
Such a tease.
You can't rush it. You will find out when it's your time.
Thanks for the wisdom, coach. So, how much longer?
Now go and make history, my man. Here's the World Cup you've been waiting for.
Actually, the World Cup's been waiting for me.
That's the spirit. Just remember who drove you here.
Inspiring every step of the next legend. The official matchball carrier, proudly sponsored by Kia. Inspiration connects us all.
And all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7.